Hi, this is Tampa Tech, and learn something new from PC, TVs, and gaming too. Let's get it started. Hi guys, Tampa Tech, and I guess this is part 2 to my other video, how to make 2 bad LCD monitors into 1 good LCD monitor. So what I did is, my customer had 2 bad LCD monitors. One had a bad power supply, and one had a bad video board, which is this one. This had originally a bad video board. It's about 10 years old. And they gave me this one because they didn't want to fix it. They just wanted to be done with it because it's so old. So what I did is, since this monitor had a good power supply, I took the bad power supply out of the old one and then swapped the power supplies. Now they have a good power supply and they have a working LCD monitor. And I showed you that in my last couple, it was like maybe last week or something. So anyhow, if you go look right here, these are 2 blown capacitors right here and here. So I'm going to take these out and replace it with 2 good capacitors, and then I had to fix the video board because now there are 2 bad parts in this LCD monitor. So I just unsoldered them right here, and they are 16V, which is 16 volt, 1500 microfarads. Well, it says UF. UF is actually microfarads. So anyhow, yeah, so the 16V is 16 volt. It can handle up to 16 volt, which is fine because the circuit is 12 volts. Yeah, there's 12 volts coming out of these 2 wires. 12 volts DC, by the way, not AC. And then 1500 microfarads. So basically, these act as like a voltage filter. They also store energy. So yeah, electrostatic field energy. So it helps the power supply kick on and all that good stuff. So if you don't have power, it could be blown capacitors. Very common fix. And you guys watch my videos a lot, then you would know capacitors are definitely a common fix. Maybe 70% of my repairs are capacitors. Alright, so now right here, as you can see, there's a shaded area on the left. Well, that means it's the negative side of the capacitor. Make sure you put it in the right way or else you're going to pop the capacitors. And I show you in my last video what happens when a capacitor pops. And if the capacitor pops, it would look bulged on top, it would look kind of like coned on top, or would actually look like this, just blown its top. So I found these 2 used capacitors. They're old, but I think they're still good. I'm going to test them, make sure I'm not putting bad parts in. Since these are used, I'm going to test them. And sometimes you could buy used parts online, like eBay and stuff, or Amazon, or a whole bunch of online stores. So we're going to put this in capacitor mode, which is this. That's the symbol for capacitor. So, and hit that button right there. So now it should read about 1500 or more. So let's go ahead and do that. The black lead goes to the negative, of course. And should read, yeah, 1500. Oh, more than 1500. Perfect. That's what we want. So now, let's go ahead and solder them in. It's actually called solder, but solder just sounds weird. And right there. Put the legs all the way through. Make sure it's negative to negative. Negative on the capacitor to negative on the board, or else it's going to blow up in my face. And sometimes when a transistor pops, it may be due to like a bad resistor, a shorted resistor, a shorted diode. But when a capacitor pops, not all the time, usually, it could just pop just on its own. So it's kind of like a good sign. If you see a blown capacitor, it is a little bit of a good sign that it is that, because it's going to be a pretty much easy fix in most cases. Not every case, but a lot of times. There we go. Let's get some fresh solder on that. So I'm going to get some nice new solder. Let's go ahead and tin this. And put the leg in. That should be fine. Make sure you don't solder to the bed traces. You want to solder the pin in the board. That's pretty much it. That's fine. I'm not going to overdo it. if you heat up the trace, heat up the board too long, you could destroy the board. So you don't want to do that. And it looks like I'm actually doing this, but I'm not. I'm actually heating up the pin, by the way, first. So you want to heat up the pin first, because once you do that, then it's gonna absorb on it. If you have a hard time trying to get solder on that pin, you can sand it down with sandpaper. Some people use flux, which not a lot of people have on hand. It's kind of like, it's just a cleaning element for your solder gun. You can get it at Radio Shack and other places, Amazon, a whole bunch of places online. Alright, so let's try and see if we get power now. Before I didn't get power, so let's try to give it a whirl and see if we get power. Now what I'm going to do now is put some heatsink compound on the transistors right here. And this is made from Radio Shack. Heatsink compound. Right there. I don't know if you can see that. Alright. So now let's go ahead and put it on. And this goes on first. I just put my finger on the damn heatsink crap figures. It's so annoying. That goes on like that. And yes, that's my son in the background. Just like that. And then these clips go on just like this. And ta-da! So we got power.